Mom, I don't want to sit next to the fat lady. Those words, spoken by a young girl as she boarded the aircraft, seemed to magnify as they echoed off the walls of the plane. Everyone turned as she pointed towards my wife, Morgan. Desperately hoping she hadn't heard them, I quickly turned to look. Her beet-red face, quivering chin, and the pool of tears welling up in her eyes told me that she had. I felt sick to my stomach and embarrassed for her. After all, she'd been trying so hard for years to lose weight. She exercised every single morning, jogging, spin classes, lunges. She followed a strict diet of cottage cheese, grilled chicken, and salads. She did keto, Whole30, low fat, low calorie, Atkins. She kept her carbs under 20 grams and she cut back on salt. She drank gallons of fresh water, black coffee, and green tea. Worn out, stiff, achy, and always hungry, she'd hop on the scale first thing every morning. Nothing changed. The weight never budged. She felt defeated, ashamed, and embarrassed, trapped underneath inflated layers of belly fat, praying that she'd someday find a way out, while fighting off the terrifying thought of being locked away inside her overweight body forever, like a prisoner, and subjected to the harsh and heartless comments of strangers. Laying her head on my shoulder, she whispered, "I wish I was invisible." My heart sank like a rock, leaving me with a feeling of sadness, helplessness, and anger all at once. Why, God? Why did such an amazing woman, my beautiful bride and the mother of my 3 incredible kids, have to suffer through so much pain? Why was it that she had to work so hard and starve herself so much for so little in return? And why, at just 46, was she now having to deal with all this? The thought of losing her flashed before my eyes. It was the most dreadful and heart-wrenching moment of my life. But that wasn't the worst of it. In fact, I hate having to tell you what happened next, but as you're about to see, there's a very good reason why I'm sharing this story. I needed you to hear it with your own ears, because it was at that exact moment that I was unexpectedly forced to go on a year-long journey that exposed the weight loss industry for what, in my opinion, it is: a corrupt, profit-driven conglomerate carrying out a sick and twisted plan, eventually leading me to a discovery that would completely change the way thousands of men and women across the country approach weight loss. A simple 30-second per day ancient energy practice used by Himalayan Sherpas that left doctors speechless and transformed my 47-year-old wife's body, her mind, and ultimately her life, while supporting heart health, blood sugar levels within normal range, joint stability, and a healthy metabolism. After what seemed like an eternity of strict and hard-to-follow diets, hundreds of hours of cardio, weight training, and spin classes, she'd finally done it. She wiped out over 74 pounds of worthless and unwelcomed body fat from all over her body. The excess fat that once hung like a fanny pack from her belly, the loose and jiggly flesh on the back of her arms, hips, and thighs, vanished, allowing her to go from this to this, regaining her youthful energy, reigniting her sex drive, boosting her mood, and restoring her sense of well-being. Look, regardless of what you've been told, the primary cause of excess belly fat and the driver behind a slow and sluggish metabolism has nothing to do with how much or how little you eat, how hard or how long you exercise, your total carb count, how much sugar you eat, whether you keep your calories low or if you limit your fat intake. And it's not about your hormones, how old you are, or how long you've been overweight. Instead, as new groundbreaking research reveals, one common cause of belly fat has everything to do with what scientists call a cellular energy crisis, which can lead to a gradual slowing and ultimately a complete shutdown of your metabolism. I'll explain more about how all this works in just a moment. More importantly, I'll be sharing a simple yet completely natural solution researchers at Yale University say can reboot your metabolism while eliminating this energy crisis once and for all, giving you the power to burn up to 1 pound of useless body fat each and every day, halt diet-destroying food cravings, and stop your body from adding even an ounce of extra weight. And it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, how young or how old you are, or how long you've been struggling with your weight. In fact, this discovery can help you lose 5, 50, even 100 pounds or more, even if you're currently battling a wide range of additional health concerns. This safe and natural method has been used by the Himalayan Sherpas for centuries and can help fire up your metabolism, allowing you to burn more fat in less time. And all it takes is just 30 seconds per day. The best part? You don't have to spend any additional time in the gym, meticulously track how many calories, carbs, or fat grams you're eating, or completely give up on any of the foods that you love. Because in the next 3 minutes, you're about to discover the truth about dieting, including one of the biggest reasons why less than 95% of the most popular diets fail to deliver lasting results. The 3 closely guarded secrets of the billion-dollar weight loss industry, and how completely wrong the so-called weight loss experts really are. Plus, an unexpected discovery that uncovered a simple yet powerful metabolic truth based on a 6,000-year-old practice that can alter the way your body uses stored fat for energy. This simple practice alters your metabolism, forcing your body to gobble up even the most stubborn fat from the deepest, most troublesome areas of your body. And the clinically proven, easy-to-use 30-second daily ancient energy practice that you can start using right away to eliminate pound after pound of excess body fat while boosting your health and supporting your heart, blood vessels, joints, and more, as well as the studies that prove it. So please, if you or someone you know is struggling to lose weight, make sure you stay with me until the very end, and more importantly, while this presentation is still online and still available. The weight loss industry is massive, generating an estimated $72 billion each and every year. And that's just here in the United States. I mean, think about it. If their approach really worked, Americans would be the thinnest, fittest, and healthiest people on the planet. And I'm sure, as you know, that's hardly the case. In fact, 3 of the largest weight loss companies in the world were all started prior to 1983. And since then, obesity rates in America have skyrocketed, up over 400% with no end in sight. So I can't imagine that they're exactly thrilled with me sharing my method. They'd rather you stay a customer for life. So please, keep watching and keep listening, because this information has the potential to save your life. Just imagine not having to worry about your weight. Imagine the peace of mind that comes with feeling healthier than you have in a long time. Not having to hear about the mean and heartless things people say about you behind your back, or whether or not your significant other still finds you attractive. Instead, with what I'm about to share with you, you'll watch as your stomach flattens, your back, hip, and thigh fat melts away. You'll look forward to stepping on the scale each morning, confident that the numbers you see will be lower than they were the day before. You'll continue to enjoy all of your favorite foods on occasion without guilt, knowing that each bite will now be converted to fresh, usable energy, and less likely to be stored as unwanted body fat. Your skin will glow, and people are likely to wonder what you're doing differently. You'll confidently wear your most revealing clothes while everyone stares in amazement, their eyes glued to your now slender, slim, fit, and healthy body, desperate to know your secret and how you made such an incredible transformation in such a short amount of time. So let's stop beating around the bush. It's time for you to reclaim your body and break free from the shackles of unwanted belly fat. So let me start by properly introducing myself. Hi, my name is Chris Johnson. I'm 46 years old, and I live in a small community just outside of Denver, Colorado, together with my beautiful wife Morgan and our 3 amazing kids, 2 girls and a boy. And just to be clear, I'm not a doctor, a nutritionist, a personal trainer, or any of those things. Instead, I'm a husband, a father, and I work as a civil engineer for a large international contractor. Over the years, I've helped design and build some of the most beautiful bridges in the world. And with each new project and each new challenge, I've learned just how strong a bridge can be. I also know how one miscalculation, one error, or one small structural failure can completely destabilize a bridge, causing it to crumble like a Jenga tower. And the same thing happens in our body. A small plaque in an artery, a microscopic virus, or even one faulty gene can turn the body on itself in the blink of an eye. That's why, a few years ago, I really started to worry about my wife, Morgan. You see, we met in our early 20s, and it was love at first sight. Well, At least for me. See, Morgan was one of those girls whose smile lit up a room when she walked in. She was beautiful, confident, and so slender. Let's just say she got more than her fair share of attention. We dated for a few years and then finally got married in our mid-20s. At 29, she became pregnant with our first daughter, Madison. Now, like I mentioned before, Morgan was slender when we met. She was a track star in high school and a gymnast, so in other words, she was smoking hot. Guys were constantly hitting on her, and frankly, I was a jealous wreck most of the time. Even when she got pregnant with Maddie, she still looked amazing. Sure, she put on a few pounds, but that's normal. After Maddie was born, Morgan lost the weight, no problem. But her pregnancy with our daughter, Alyssa, was a completely different story. She gained over 38 pounds, and it never went away, no matter what she tried. Then, 3 years later, she had Kylan, gaining another 36 pounds in the process. All in all, she was up over 74 pounds. Over the next few years, we spent thousands of dollars on gym memberships, personal trainers, classes, diet programs, and meal delivery services. Money we didn't really have. She got blood work done to check her hormones, met with a nutritionist, had her body fat checked in one of those fancy water pods, and every test in between. Nothing helped. And to make matters worse, not only did she not lose weight with each attempt, she would actually gain additional weight in the process, usually just a few pounds from where she started. It was almost as if her body was trying to get back at her for dieting in the first place. Now, since Morgan was having such trouble with her weight, I was really beginning to worry about her health. She was always out of breath and she never had any energy. So when she started suffering from dizzy spells and lightheadedness, we decided to visit the doctor. After her checkup, we got some bad news. The doctor looked at my wife and said the dumbest thing I'd ever heard a doctor say in my life. "Morgan," he said, without even a shred of empathy, "I think you could stand to lose a few pounds." As he said it, he smiled and patted her on the knee. Look, I've known our doctor for years, but I swear at that moment I wanted to sock him one. Morgan was devastated. She looked defeated and hopeless, on the verge of giving up. After the appointment, she moped around the house for weeks. I knew I had to do something to cheer her up. So I decided to surprise her with a trip to Hawaii. At first, Morgan didn't want to go. All she could think about was how fat she would look in her bathing suit. At home, she could cover up and stay inside, but on the beach, well, there's nowhere to hide. The last time we were in Hawaii was for our honeymoon. At that time, she barely weighed 110 pounds. She looked amazing in her bikini and was so proud of her body. Now, she was closer to 200 pounds and hadn't worn a bikini in years. Even the thought of walking around in shorts and a tank top terrified her and sent shivers down her spine. "You need to get away, relax and clear your mind," I said, convinced that time away, along with the peaceful sound of the ocean, would be just the thing she needed. The next day, we went shopping. We must have gone into every swimsuit store in town. At the mall, we spent 4 hours in the department store trying on every single swimsuit and wrap. Finally, she gave up. She'd had enough, and we had nothing to show for it. Overwhelmed with emotion, Morgan cried all the way home. Depressed and defeated, she looked at me and she said, "I don't think I can go. You'd probably have more fun without me anyway." But in the end, she reluctantly agreed to it. 2 weeks later, we were on the plane, where that little girl made those hurtful comments. But that wasn't even the worst part. As the flight crew started going over the safety precautions, one of the male flight attendants looked over at Morgan and in front of the whole plane asked, "Ma'am, will that seatbelt fasten around you or do you need an extender?" I thought Morgan was going to die. Honestly, if I wasn't worried about getting arrested and thrown off the plane, I would have knocked his block off. It was like throwing salt on a fresh wound. And for the remainder of the flight, Morgan stared out the window, suffering in silence and alone in her thoughts. She finally cried herself to sleep. Now, as we flew across the ocean, I felt like I made a huge mistake. Even now, when I think back to that trip, it tears me up inside to admit that I never should have taken Morgan to Hawaii and put her in such a vulnerable position. I just had such wonderful memories of Hawaii, and for some strange reason, I thought I could experience that kind of joy again. I was wrong. Morgan barely left the hotel room the entire time we were there. I spent most of the time alone on the beach, hanging out by the pool, as Morgan hid from the world. The one day she decided to join me at the beach, a group of women in bikinis set up right next to us. They were in their 20s and all of them were slender. They were laughing and having such a great time, not a care in the world. Within minutes, Morgan excused herself and never joined me again. I may as well have been alone in Hawaii. When we got home, things didn't get any better. The trip drove Morgan into a deep depression, and I couldn't snap her out of it. Morgan and I had both hit rock bottom. The whole thing had put a terrible strain on our marriage. It broke my heart to see her so sad, and I felt so guilty. I was only trying to help. Then one night, my daughter Maddie crawled into my lap as I was watching TV. She asked me, "Daddy, why is Mommy so unhappy?" I replied, "Mommy's just going through some changes. She'll be okay." Maddie nodded, and then as she got up to leave, she said something I will never forget. "Daddy, please help her." I looked at her and promised her I would. I needed to find a way to help my wife. She had always trusted me to take care of her, and now she needed me more than ever. I was determined to find a way to get her back to feeling confident about her body while restoring her shattered self-esteem and broken self-image. So the next morning, I got up early. I fired up my laptop and started on my journey. As I did, there was one thing that I just couldn't wrap my head around. Why is it that some people stay slender, healthy, and fit, regardless of what they eat? We've all witnessed a thin person gobbling down pizza and burgers, and yet they never gain even an ounce of fat. It's as if all the fatty, greasy, sugary food simply passes right through them. So after thousands of online searches and reading hundreds of blogs, articles, and research papers, here's what I discovered. Now, as you're probably aware, fat cells control the ease with which you gain or lose weight. When you gain weight, those fat cells get larger as they fill with fat. When you lose weight, the opposite happens. Fat cells get smaller. Pretty straightforward, but that's not all fat cells do. You see, when fat cells expand, they release the hormone leptin. Leptin controls our appetite, food cravings, and how hungry we are. When leptin levels are low, we feel hungry and are driven to eat. But when leptin levels are higher, we feel full and our cravings stop. You probably heard all this before, but what I just told you, it's only half the story. You see, when leptin was first discovered back in 1994, scientists thought they had discovered the cure for obesity. In fact, they even referred to leptin as the anti-obesity hormone. Researchers theorized that overweight men and women simply don't produce enough leptin, which causes them to overeat. They also thought by increasing leptin levels, they'd be able to control their appetites, keeping them full and satisfied. But when they tested this theory, things didn't go as planned. Up until then, all the studies showed that this protein made really fat mice into skinny mice. It was incredible. So they thought, hey, we'll just make leptin pills and everybody will be skinny. Well, like most things in biology, it turns out that it's a little more complicated than that. In fact, leptin injections only worked on mice and humans who were genetically leptin deficient. The rest of us? Well, we were out of luck. And recently, a new theory is pointing to something called leptin resistance. Put simply, it's the thought that your body makes more than enough leptin, but it's just not sensitive to it. But again, it appears that that theory is only half right. You see, leptin isn't the only issue. There are a whole range of other hormones involved, including ghrelin, cortisol, and insulin. The problem is that nobody seems to know how it all works. So, where do we start? And more importantly, how can we use the information to lose weight? Well, it turns out that there is one more step in the fat loss equation that a lot of people aren't talking about. And it's a step involving the little energy producers in your cells called the mitochondria, also known as your body's energy-producing battery. So, whether you gain weight or remain slender depends on the dynamics of your mitochondria. And it's the mitochondria that controls your body's ability to create energy out of the food you eat. In other words, these little energy factories control your metabolism, and they do it through something called mitochondrial crosstalk. You see, when it comes to leptin, insulin, or any of your fat-burning hormones, nothing happens without healthy mitochondria, because that's where food is made into energy. That's where fat is really burned. And when it comes to weight loss, the majority of mitochondrial crosstalk occurs in the brain. More specifically, it's controlled by leptin and insulin action in the area of the brain called the hypothalamus. It's also where insulin and leptin sensitivity comes into play. In other words, insulin and leptin both play key roles in a healthy metabolism. But it's your mitochondria that drives the entire process. So if you want to lose weight, what you really want is for your mitochondria to convert your stored fat into energy. If you want to support healthy blood sugar already within normal ranges, what you really want is for your mitochondria to metabolize sugar faster than it gets delivered to them. In fact, supporting healthier and more efficient mitochondria in turn supports a healthier and more efficient metabolism. And according to researchers at Yale University School of Medicine, it's the mitochondria that regulates appetite. In a recent study, Yale researchers discovered that when transitioning from a fasting to an overfed state, mitochondria in nerve cells that promote hunger show dynamic changes that are the opposite of those found in nerve cells that control feelings of fullness. Without those signals, we overeat, no matter how much leptin we have. Researchers at Newcastle University in the UK found that having healthy mitochondria is closely associated with healthy weight loss, and mitochondrial fat-burning capabilities are associated with more energy and more efficient weight loss, and the opposite is also true. Now, as a civil engineer, it all made perfect sense. The entire system is interrelated. When everything is up to code and working properly, the integrity of our overall structure is much stronger. And when our ability to convert fuel into energy is optimized, the whole system works better. Which means all of the excess fuel in the form of fat is burned away much more efficiently. Bottom line, healthy weight loss is deeply rooted inside the mitochondria. Now, still, after feeling as if I had finally found the missing piece of the weight loss puzzle, I still wasn't sure how to keep the mitochondria functioning at optimal levels. Then, I found the answer. See, while your mitochondria works hard to produce all the energy your body needs, it does it through a process that creates a lot of waste. The more energy produced, the more waste it creates. Look at any power plant or energy production facility in the world, and you'll see that they all produce waste. It's the accumulation of all this waste that has the potential to create health hazards and poses a threat to every living thing on the planet. And the key to an efficient power plant and its longevity is the safe and responsible disposal of this toxic waste. The same thing occurs in your body. Your mitochondria are no different than a nuclear power plant. In fact, your mitochondria also produce waste products. Now, even though I know the culprit behind belly fat and even what causes it, I realize I still don't know how to fix it. How can you support your mitochondria while ramping up their ability to convert more fat into usable energy? I hit a roadblock, but I can only assume that God had a different plan. See, within the next few days, I was asked to travel all the way to Nepal for work. It seems the Nepali government had decided that they wanted to build roads to every village in the mountainous nation. And of course they needed bridges to do that. My company won a bid to help them, and it was my job to go there and come up with a plan. It was an incredible opportunity, but I just couldn't stand the thought of leaving my wife behind, especially after what had happened. She was still depressed, and I still felt much guilt. But she insisted that I go, and after much back and forth, I finally agreed to it. But only after she promised me she'd be okay. When I arrived in Nepal, the first thing I noticed was how hard it was to catch my breath. Everything I did had me huffing and puffing for air. Remember, I'm from Colorado, and where I live, we're a little over 5,000 feet above sea level, so I'm used to living at high elevations, but Nepal is more than twice that. Over the next few days, my energy levels really started to sag. I was so busy with work that I tried not to think about it, but it was tough. I could barely function. Then, one evening, after a particularly long and grueling day, I was having dinner with a group of local workers, and I met a man named Kiran. As we were talking, I told him how low my energy was and how tired I felt. He just looked at me and laughed. Then he reached into his bag and pulled out a small sack. Kiran proceeded to tell me that the sack contained a special ancient tea that he and the other workers from his village drank every day. Come to find out that Kiran comes from a long line of real-life Himalayan Sherpas who work as guides on Mount Everest. Many of them also work at local construction jobs to make ends meet. So when they come down from the higher elevations, they drink this tea so that when they return, their body can still function at those altitudes. He winked at me and jokingly told me not to tell anyone their secret. But he claimed that this tea was responsible for the Sherpa's ability to climb all the way to the top of Mount Everest while carrying equipment and supplies more than twice their weight. with some doing it as often as every few weeks. Then Kieran excused himself and returned a few minutes with a steaming hot cup of water. He scooped some of the tea into the cup and he handed it to me. When I first smelled the tea, it had a sweet, almost flowery smell. But then I took a sip of it and I almost gagged. I tell you, it tasted terrible. He laughed and told me it was an acquired taste, but he assured me it would do the trick. So over the next few days, I forced myself to drink the tea. And I have to say, as bad as it tasted, it made me feel incredible. I was so full of energy. I could take deep breaths, and I felt like $1,000,000. It was truly amazing. But then something else happened, something I never expected. I started losing weight. At first, I just noticed that my pants were a little looser than normal, but then after a couple weeks, I had to wear a belt just to keep them from falling down. But it wasn't until I was on a Skype call with Morgan that it really hit me. She said, "Your face looks so much thinner. Have you lost weight? Maybe I should come to Nepal." We both laughed, but then, like a bolt of lightning, it hit me. I was eating and drinking a ton. In fact, I was eating even more than usual, yet I was still losing weight. Then I began to notice that everyone around me was thin. But why? After all, they all ate a lot of rice, sausage, and other high-carb foods like momo, a popular kind of dumpling in Nepal, and yet they were still extremely fit and thin. It had to be the tea. I knew I had to bring some home to Morgan, but I was almost out. The next day, I asked Kieran if he could bring me the recipe so that when I got home, I could make it for her. Unfortunately, he didn't know what was in it, but he promised he would ask his grandfather, who made the tea, when he got back home. A few days later, Kieran was headed home, but he promised me he would send me the recipe. I thanked him, and that was the last I saw. A week later, a new worker named Banish arrived. He walked up to me and he handed me a piece of paper with some writing on it. It was the recipe from Kieran. Less than a week later, it was time for me to leave. When I got home, I told Morgan all about the tea. I told her how it helped me with my energy and how great it made me feel, and she could see how much weight I'd lost. Unfortunately, I didn't have any of the tea left, but I had the recipe. The next day I called my friend Emily, who worked at a compounding pharmacy in Boulder, to see if she could help me find the ingredients. I've known Emily for years. In fact, we went to college together. She was a nutrition major. And right out of college, Emily went to work for one of the country's largest weight loss companies. I won't tell you who it is, but trust me when I say you've definitely heard of them. They're one of those billion-dollar companies you see celebrities pitching on TV. Emily worked there for over 7 years. But there's one thing she said never made a lot of sense to her. And that was the fact that a lot of the people who worked there were overweight. Even with free access to all of the programs, they were all still fat. That's when Emily let me in on what she called the weight loss industry's 3 dirty little secrets. Secrets that she said added billions of dollars of profit to their bank account. She likened the whole thing to a pyramid scheme. Desperate people looking to lose weight. Maybe they have a wedding, a high school reunion, or some other special event that they want to look good for. They start the diet and manage to lose a few pounds, but in virtually 95% of all cases, they gain it all back again and then some, only to return when they have a new reason to lose weight. Listen, how many times have you talked to somebody who used one of those big corporate weight loss programs? Sure, they lost a little weight, maybe a lot, but it never lasts. In fact, it's the biggest secret of all. Diets don't help you lose weight. If they did, we'd all be able to lose weight and keep it all off. That's also the reason there are so many different diet plans out there. Low calorie, low fat, low carb. It's all nonsense and none of it really works. They just know that if they keep adding new angles to their programs, you'll keep coming back. In fact, research from UCLA shows that 95% of diets don't work. In reality, 97% of dieters regain everything they lost and then some within 3 years. Plus, extreme dieting can lead to all sorts of nutritional deficits and a wide range of other health problems, including more weight gain. Truth is, if you really want to lose weight and keep it off, you have to address the root cause. The second biggest weight loss secret: don't rely on exercise alone to help you lose weight. In fact, exercise can often come up short. Did you know that running on a treadmill for an hour only burns a few hundred calories? And the benefits stop the moment you step off. Plus, your body wants to get those calories back, so the cravings kick in. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't exercise, but the fact is, more exercise isn't the answer to losing weight. A more efficient metabolism is, and supporting healthy mitochondria plays a primary role in metabolism. Finally, the last weight loss secret, and potentially the most problematic, is the fact that with each weight loss attempt, your metabolism can slow down even more. That's right. See, every time you go on a diet, your metabolism slows. Besides the increase in weight products I told you about earlier, your body begins to conserve energy. That's why you feel so run down when you diet. It's also why we gain all the weight back. With each crash diet, we make it that much harder to lose weight the next time. And it was because of this that Emily finally decided to leave her job. She got into health and nutrition to help people, and she wasn't seeing the changes she knew were possible. For a few years, Emily traveled the world, working with a variety of natural healers, learning, absorbing, and discovering ways to actually help people instead of just taking their money. During her travels, she spent time in Bali, Thailand, and China. So she was well versed in ancient remedies. So when I shared with her the list of ingredients Kieran had sent over, she knew exactly how they all worked. Now, the first ingredient was kucha tea. Kucha tea was first grown in Yunnan, China, which is located at the far edge of the Himalayas. It contains a compound called methylliberine, which has been shown to stimulate the release of two very powerful energy neurotransmitters called epinephrine, or adrenaline, and norepinephrine, noradrenaline. They are responsible for increasing energy, focus, alertness, and liberating fatty acids, body fat, for energy. It also activates the D1 and D2 dopamine receptors in the brain, which enhance your body's release of dopamine. Dopamine is responsible for motivation, determination, satisfaction, pleasure, reward, and drive. That's why the Sherpas have so much energy and focus. But most importantly, kucha tea has a protective effect on mitochondria. What's more, this ancient tea helps to accelerate the rate at which your mitochondria can convert stored fat into energy. The next ingredient was apple cider vinegar. And while it's known as one of the oldest and most widely known ancient remedies, according to the Journal of Nutritional Medicine, it's also a mitochondrial supercharger. That's because apple cider vinegar is full of malic acid, which perks up your mitochondria. And according to Dr. Earl Mindell, author of Prescription Alternatives, apple cider vinegar's acetic acid also suppresses appetite, making it easier to stop eating. The next ingredient was Punica granatum, or simply pomegranate extract. What's interesting about pomegranate extract is that it also works by activating and supporting the mitochondria. In one study published in the journal Nature Medicine, researchers found that a molecule found in pomegranates helps to reestablish a cell's ability to recycle the components of the mitochondria. It also helps to relaunch the mitochondrial cleanup process. Next on the list was ginger and turmeric. Both of these ancient compounds have been clinically proven to boost mitochondrial function. Ginger, for example, has been shown to increase both mitochondrial size and mitochondrial DNA content, as well as key gene expression related to mitochondrial production. And curcumin, the active molecule in turmeric, has recently been shown to protect mitochondria from damage. It's also been shown to help improve both their structure and function. Gardenia was the next ingredient in the tea. Gardenia extract contains the chemical genepin, which, according to researchers, helps support mitochondrial function. It also helps support the insulin levels already in the normal range. The blend also contained citrus bioflavonoids, which have also been associated with an increase in mitochondrial function. The final ingredient was something called Nigella sativa, which is also known as black cumin. Since the times of the Bible, black cumin seeds have been used to promote optimal health, but one of its most powerful benefits is its ability to help support healthy mitochondrial function. All in all, Kieran's tea recipe included 8 incredible ingredients, all clinically proven to support mitochondrial function and boost their ability to convert stored fat into usable energy. In other words, boost mitochondrial energy. Now, furthermore, the mixture was also shown to support normal blood sugar levels and blood pressure levels, as well as a healthy brain, heart, and joints. When I got home, I fired up my computer and double-checked each and every ingredient. Sure enough, they were as powerful as she had said. Yet not a single doctor or the weight loss gurus had ever mentioned them to me or Morgan. All they wanted was to keep prescribing her medication, keep her coming back in for new workouts, diets, and lab work. It was a revolving door, and I was going to finally put a stop to it. By then, I was convinced that this tea had not only held the key to rescuing my wife from her belly fat prison, but also for millions of Americans struggling to decipher the weight loss industry's misinformation. I was focused and I was ready to share my discovery with the world. But then, I hit another unexpected roadblock. See, with Emily's help, we spent weeks tracking down the absolute best sources for each of the 8 ingredients from all over the world, and I spent thousands of dollars to do it. Then, another few weeks extracting the seeds, oils, and extracts. Afterwards, we had to dry them all out, grind them down, and fine-tune the ratios. When it was all said and done, I had maybe enough to last Morgan a week. Not to mention, the entire process was extremely grueling and painstaking. Luckily, I had Emily to help me. There's no way I could have done it without her. But I quickly realized I couldn't do this every week. I needed to figure out a way to do it faster and cheaper. So, after talking it through with Emily, I decided it would be best if I bought all the ingredients in bulk and then outsourced the entire process to a certified manufacturing facility. And instead of making it into a tea, which did taste terrible, Emily suggested I put the blend into easy-to-swallow capsules instead. She made a few phone calls for me, and right from the get-go, we narrowed it down to just one facility. See, I had one request that was non-negotiable, and that was that every single ingredient had to be as pure as possible, which meant each one of them needed to be sourced from a high-quality vendor and processed under the strictest of standards. It blows my mind how many cheap suppliers there are out there and how inferior their ingredients are. It's no wonder people don't get results. But thanks to Emily, we found a facility that was both FDA registered and GMP certified. In other words, they adhered to the highest government standards. Plus, they had a full team of formulation scientists on staff to help us improve our formula using modern science and the latest technology. Remember, this recipe was 6,000 years old, so I welcomed their suggestions to tweak the formula, alter the quantities, or add additional ingredients to make this powerful blend even better. In other words, make it more effective and 100% safe. So, when I was given the chance to sit down with their head of research, Dwayne Curtis, I jumped at the chance. Now, I don't know what Dwayne thought of my story, or whether or not he even believed me. He just sat there, nodding his head, as I retold the story of Nepal, Kiran, and the fat-burning tea. For a moment, I was terrified that he would tell me that none of it made sense and that we were all just wasting our time. But to my surprise, that's not what he said at all. Instead, grinning from ear to ear, he looked at me and said, "Your blend is truly incredible. In fact, I've never seen anything quite like it, and the science is all spot on." Mr. Curtis agreed to help us with the formula and work towards making it even better, especially since both his wife and his daughter were struggling with their weight. He was looking forward to having them try it. To be honest, he said, for years research has shown that mitochondria play a key role in weight loss and metabolism. And frankly, I think you've just discovered something very powerful. With that, Dwayne got to work immediately. Besides just tweaking the dosages for each ingredient to maximize their effectiveness, he added a few additional ingredients designed to supercharge the formula's ability to burn away unwanted fat. Aside from adjusting the dosages for maximum effects, Dwayne added a more potent and concentrated form of the kucha tea extract, methylliberine, called Dynamin. Next, he added the powerful fat burner fucoxanthin, a seaweed extract discovered by a team of Japanese microbiologists. Fucoxanthin works by activating key proteins within the mitochondria, which in turn accelerate fat loss. He added chromium, known for its ability to lower your appetite, burn more calories, cut your body fat, and boost muscle mass. And berberine, due to its ability to support mitochondrial health. And the final touch, piperine, a powerful black pepper extract proven to enhance nutrient absorption. Now, I was shocked when he told me what he'd done. I couldn't believe it. The formula was now the most powerful fat burner I had ever seen or could have ever imagined. What's more, because it's not a drug and it's 100% natural, not to mention the facility that produced our capsules is FDA registered and GMP certified, there was no waiting around for approval. I just needed to find someone willing to try it. Now, I would have been first in line, but I had already lost 18 pounds when I was in Nepal, and that was just using the basic formula. We needed someone who desperately needed to lose weight. And that person was Morgan. All she needed to do was take 2 capsules with a glass of water first thing in the morning. She agreed to try it, but by now she had very little faith that there was anything out there that could help. And frankly, who could blame her? But even with all the skepticism deep down, she still had hope. She also knew how much time and effort I'd put into finding a way to help her, and she didn't want to let me down. So she reluctantly agreed to try it. During the first few days, she didn't really notice a whole lot other than the fact that she felt like she had more energy. I watched in disappointment as each day she stepped on the scale and the numbers didn't budge. Each time she'd step off the scale with an "I told you so" look on her face. Each morning I had to beg her to continue, reminding her that it was still early and she hadn't really given it enough time. Then, on day 8, the scale finally started to change. She was down 3 pounds. Well, 2.8 to be exact, but it was so close. I was thrilled, but Morgan wasn't getting her hopes up just yet. Then, something incredible happened. For 2 weeks straight, Morgan lost weight every day, but that was just the beginning. I decided to take her to our favorite local Italian restaurant for dinner to put this formula to the ultimate test. They had the best Italian food on the planet, and their tiramisu was legendary. But she only ate half of her lasagna, and when I asked her if she wanted me to order dessert, she said, "No thanks, I'm full." Immediately, we both looked at each other in disbelief, and then burst out laughing. For the first time in a long time, she wasn't hungry, even when her favorite dessert was on the menu. We couldn't believe it. It seemed like once her body overcame its cellular energy crisis, her cravings disappeared. Her body was now easily accessing stored fat and flooding her body with usable energy. And the best part? She was never hungry. In fact, she was still eating all of her favorite foods, including pasta, burgers, and even the occasional indulgence of tiramisu. But she wasn't overeating them. She never once had to use her willpower to stop eating. Instead, she found out that it came naturally. Sometimes she couldn't even finish a meal. I couldn't believe it. I watched as my wife magically regained her figure. Each day, she looked more and more like the woman I married, until one day, May 12th to be exact, she came running into my home office with nothing on her but a robe and an enormous grin on her face. "Guess what?" she asked. "What?" I replied with a confused yet interested look on my face. Then, dropping her robe to the floor, she said, "I now weigh the same today as I did on our wedding day." There she was, standing in front of me without a stitch of clothes on, and she looked amazing. There was no embarrassment, no shame, or any of that. She stood there confident, beautiful, and sexier than ever. I couldn't believe it. I finally had my wife back, and she was hot. All in all, she lost over 74 pounds. To celebrate, we went shopping for a whole new wardrobe. None of her clothes fit anymore, and the days of the baggy sweats, oversized t-shirts, and muumuus was over. It was time for her to show off her figure, look sexy, and wear clothes that accentuated her slender body, not cover it up. Her clothes now fit like they were supposed to, and I could see her confidence grow with each passing day. She looked amazing. When we went out, it brought me back to when we first started dating. I watched as the heads of both men and women turned to watch her walk by. I could barely keep my hands off of her. And it wasn't just that she looked amazing, but her newfound confidence was a huge turn on. Now, after going out for dinner, we'd go home and go straight to the bedroom for dessert. It was amazing. She looked just like she did when we got married. Every ounce of weight that she had gained with her last 2 pregnancies was gone. She looked incredible. Her hair looked healthier, fuller, and thicker than ever. Her skin was soft and supple. Her complexion glowed, and she radiated youth. Plus, her energy went through the roof. She'd hit the ground running from the time she got up in the morning until the time she went to bed. I couldn't remember the last time she had so much energy. When we went to see Dwayne, he didn't know what to believe. He called my wife the walking epitome of health, even though he was the one who put the final touches on our natural blend. Morgan had excellent blood pressure, blood sugar, and heart health. My wife had rebooted her cellular energy. Now, I couldn't believe how far my wife had come. I was ready to get this formula out to anyone and everyone out there who was struggling with their weight. But Dwayne, he was a bit more hesitant. As a scientist, he warned me that our sample size was simply too small. Just because it worked on both me and Morgan, that didn't mean it would work for everyone. We needed to find more people looking to enhance their mitochondria's ability to burn away unwanted fat. Luckily, we had plenty of friends who fit the bill, and we reached out to all of them. Of the dozens of emails we sent out, all but one agreed to try it. When it was all said and done, we had recruited a total of 22 people, and the results were better than we could have ever imagined. In just a matter of weeks, all 22 of our volunteers were able to shed a significant amount of weight while minimizing their cravings and reducing their appetite. On average, each volunteer lost a total of 27 pounds. They experienced better sleep, better mental acuity, healthy blood pressure, and their energy exploded. Put simply, they felt great. Nagging aches and pains vanished, they improved their endurance and experienced an improvement in mood. And the best part is that none of them changed a thing about their diet. Overall, the results were incredible, and without exception, each and every one of our volunteers asked where they could get more of our incredible formula. We had created something truly special, and these results further supported that our mission to eliminate obesity in America was close to becoming a reality. We created something that works. And while our study wasn't a traditional study funded by Big Pharma or performed at a fancy university, the results were real, and the people who had participated were overwhelmed with joy. We had cracked the code on recharging your metabolism. And contrary to popular belief, it wasn't about leptin, insulin, or even thyroid hormones. Instead, it turned out to be all about your body's ability to convert the food we eat into healthy, usable energy. We'd created an all-natural supplement that allows you to target one of the primary causes of increased belly fat, turbocharging your mitochondria so that you can eliminate unwanted body fat. We call it Reignite, the only 100% natural blend focused on enhancing mitochondrial health. We've sourced the purest, highest quality plant extracts and compounds in clinically proven quantities and put them into an easy to swallow once a day capsule. Every capsule is manufactured right here in the United States in an FDA approved and GMP certified facility under the most sterile, strict, and precise standards. Reignite capsules are non-GMO. And even though losing weight with Reignite is quick and easy, this formula is so much more than that. It's far more powerful than any diet or exercise program alone because it works at the cellular level. And rebooting and reigniting the mitochondria doesn't just support weight loss. It also improves your health at every level and in every way. It even fights the aging process. To date, 81,417 people have already begun using Reignite to transform their body and mind. People like Sarah J., who had this to say: "I am a compulsive, emotional eater. I have tried so many different diets and gimmicks, too many to list, and Reignite has been great. People say there's no magic pill, but there is help." And Monica G., who said this about Reignite: "I get very intense food cravings, which makes sticking to any kind of diet almost impossible. But once I started taking Reignite, my cravings all but disappeared. So far, I'm down 14 pounds, and it has been really easy." Or Michael R., who calls Reignite his secret weapon against love handles. And you can achieve the same dramatic results. All you have to do is add this simple 30-second ancient energy practice to your daily routine. And in the next 90 seconds, I'll show you an easy way to get started. If you're sick and tired of all the conflicting information you're getting from weight loss companies, if you're ready to find something that truly works, something based on ancient wisdom and modern science, start by asking yourself one simple question. What would feeling confident, sexy, lean, and healthy be worth to you? What would it be worth for you to put the fear of people judging you behind? I want you to really think about that. Just take a few seconds to ponder that question. Would it be worth $1,000, $10,000, $100,000 or more? I know that sounds like a lot, but for some people, that's exactly what they spend over a lifetime of failed weight loss attempts. And while Dwayne suggested that we sell a 30-day supply of Reignite for no less than $499, considering the amount of time and research, work, and testing that we put into it, not to mention the fact that it really works, and even though my wife Morgan told me that had she known just how effective Reignite was, that she would have easily paid $299 or more, while many of those in our study agreed that $199 was more than fair for such high quality ingredients. And even though many of the 81,417 people who've had the chance to experience Reignite for themselves would gladly pay 10 times what we're asking, it's not about the money for me. There's not a day that goes by where I don't remember being on that plane with Morgan. The embarrassment, the shame, and the despair that she had to endure. I never want anyone to feel as helpless as she did. That's why I'll never ask for $499 or $299 or even half of that. I just want to cover the cost of ingredients and keep this formula available and this site up and running. Now, even though it looks like in the near future, due to a change in pricing on a few of our ingredients, including the patented form of methylliberine we use, we're going to have to charge a minimum of $129 for one bottle of Reignite soon. And just so you know, many of our customers completely understand and are more than willing to pay that, especially when you compare it to hundreds of dollars worth of pre-cooked meals and thousands of dollars in personal training and gym memberships and all the wasted time and effort. However, because you've made it this far in the presentation, it tells me that you're one of those people willing to do whatever it takes to lose weight. I want to honor your commitment with a special offer. Right now, you can get a 30 supply of Reignite for a special one-time fee of just $69. That's right, just $69. But before you place your order, I want to share something Dwayne told me. See, when he was going through all of the research associated with Reignite, he noticed that the best results come when people used the supplement for at least 90 days. Especially if you have more than 20 pounds to lose. His theory is that by taking the supplement for at least 90 days, you're not only giving your mitochondria the chance to help support healthy weight loss, but you're also supporting your body in the process of making more mitochondria too. And more mitochondria equals more fat burning potential. However, Reignite is selling extremely fast, and once we're out, it can take up to 6 months to produce a new batch due to the fact that we're committed to only the highest quality ingredients. And because we want to help you experience all the benefits Reignite has to offer, we're allowing customers who have viewed this entire presentation the opportunity to secure 3 bottles or 6 bottles at a significant discount. Simply choose your savings below. Now, once you order, you'll be taken to a secure checkout page. Just fill in your payment details using your preferred method of payment. Immediately after you fill in your information and confirm your order of Reignite will be shipped to you for free, right to your doorstep. Now, if you order the 3-bottle or 6-bottle package, which we recommend, you'll receive a substantial discount. The more you buy, the more you'll save. Just click below to select your package. Your order is a one-time payment and there are no hidden charges, and this is not a subscription. Remember, Reignite can only be found on this page and is not available for purchase in any store. This is your only chance to grab this exclusive formula. Once again, Reignite is selling fast, and once we're out of stock, it will take up to 6 months to restock our supply. So go ahead and make your choice below. And if you're skeptical, I completely understand. If you're like most of our customers, you've tried and failed a variety of weight loss methods. You've spent tons of money and you've gotten nothing in return. But I am so confident that Reignite works that I'm going to offer you our ironclad, no questions asked, 60-day money-back guarantee. If you don't experience a dramatic and noticeable weight loss, or if you're not happy for any reason whatsoever, we'll issue a full refund, no questions asked. All you need to do is contact us within the first 60 days from your purchase. Even if you've used up the entire bottle, you'll still receive a prompt and courteous refund. This means you'll have 2 whole months to decide if Reignite is right for you. No hidden fees or subscriptions, just a safe and secure one-time transaction. Choose the package you want below. Look, right now you're at a crossroads, and you have 2 options. Option 1, do nothing. You can close out this presentation and simply just keep doing what you've been doing. You can keep struggling, feeling guilty every time you fail, wondering why it's so hard for you to lose weight while it seems so easy for others, sick and tired of wondering what your significant other really thinks when they see you naked, trapped in a cycle of desperation and failure, and wondering if you'll ever lose weight. Trust me, from what I've seen, that's exactly what the greedy weight loss corporations want. Or you can take option number 2 today. Grab Reignite right now and give yourself the opportunity to use real science for a change. Science that works incredibly well. So choose your package below. Lock in your payment on our secure order form and place your order now. We'll immediately ship your bottles directly to your home. Remember, you save the most when you take advantage of our 3 and 6 bottle options. And every order comes with free shipping, no matter where you live. Now, I can't wait for you to experience every single benefit that Reignite has to offer. Choose your savings below, and I'll see you on the other side.